Hey guys, and welcome back to Unified Gaming. Now today I've got an absolutely wicked build that I think you will love. I've been playing it for about 3-4 weeks at least now. I gave the build out to a friend of mine about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and he's been playing as well. He's like, Dan, this is absolutely bonkers. It's such a strong build and it's really fun to play. So he doesn't normally like Magicka Warden, but now he's actually been playing it because of just the playstyle is so different. So yeah, I'm hoping that obviously you guys will enjoy this build. As I said, it's a bit out there, so if you're familiar with Magicka Warden, watch the video anyway, because it's not your typical Magicka Warden, it's slightly different. And obviously this was designed for the Scalebreaker patch, just so people are aware kind of what patch it was for. I have also jumped on the PTS for Dragonhold, I think it's called, and I've been testing it, and it works in there. Obviously that's week 1, things do change, so just do bear that in mind. And obviously if it changes too drastically and it doesn't work, I would obviously put an update video to try and make it work as much as possible. So yeah, and obviously with all of the builds, as you know, I test them extensively. As I said, my friend has been using it for about a week now, and he had a 14-0 in battlegrounds with it, and that was like his first day on it. It was like, this is stupidly strong, so it's just a really strong but really fun build to play. And with this video, just a little sort of heads up, I'm going to change how I do some of the kind of structure. I'm going to go through the skills a little bit more, explain kind of what I do with the skills, how to combo them, so you've got a bit of an idea of kind of how to combo and how to stay alive. And I'm also going to go through and show you, this is what I run, this is the optimal, but actually you could run this set, or this set, or that set. So that way, if you don't have what I run the armor that I run, exactly, then obviously you can run very similar sets and get very similar results. So, you know, that way you've got a bit more options to kind of make this playstyle work for you. And obviously if you do enjoy this video, then obviously like, comment, helps me out, helps out the channel. And if you're new or you're not subscribed yet, then obviously consider doing so. And with that said, we're going to jump straight into the video. So guys, we're going to look at that race now. I am high elf on this build. High elf for me is probably the best race that I like. Obviously this is personal preference, so just do factor that in, okay? Breton works and argonian work well. Most races will work, in all honesty. They will bring something slightly different, and you can obviously offset their weaknesses with glyphs and so on. The one thing I will say though is if you're something like an orc, it's going to be harder to do that, because obviously the weapon damage is going to be a bit wasted. So it's got to be some form of just flat stat really, or like a special effect like the wood elf that has the roll dodge with the penetration. So that kind of stuff. We're now going to look at the skills, and the skills are quite straightforward. I'm just going to list what they are and say what each of them does, and just mention some combos, okay? Fletcher Infection, Deep Fissure, Accelerate and Drain, Structured Entropy, Bird of Prey, Onslaught, Stroke, Dawnbreaker. If you don't have Onslaught, I don't have Onslaught on live, but so use Dawnbreaker. Onslaught is really strong though. Ice Fortress, Consuming Trap, Dampen Magic, Blue Betty, Living Trellis, and Healing Thicket. Now, why are they on the bars? Fletcher Infection is a really strong single target dot. Structured Entropy is a really strong single target dot. Soul Trap is a really strong single target dot. So we have 3 really nasty dots. And obviously in Scalebreaker, the dots are just absolutely disgusting. We then obviously pair this with Deep Fissure. So Deep Fissure is our burst ability. So the idea is that we go up to the target, we hit them with Fletcher Infection, Structured Entropy, and Consuming Trap. You normally want to start on the back bar for this, so you start on the back bar. I normally start Consuming Trap, Structured Entropy because they can't dodge that easily, and then Fletcher Infection, which has a travel time. And then they are all on their target. You then push your burst ability, which is your stun. So your Deep Fissure, this hits really hard, and it hits them with Major Breach as well, so it reduces their spell resistance. And we use Vampire Drain, Accelerate and Drain, and this goes up to like 7,300 fully buffed. It is absolutely disgusting. So this just literally ticks for like 3-4k if you obviously have all your CP stuff. Right, it's horrible. So obviously when you factor all of that in, it just means you have lots of bursts, because you end up getting a tick of 1 to 2,000 from Fletcher Infection, 1 to 2,000 from Structured Entropy, 1 to 2,000 from Consuming Trap, so that's 3 to 6,000 damage there, plus your shulks, which is 4 to 6,000 depending on the crits, so you're looking 7 to sort of 10,000 damage. Then your drain on top, which is obviously doing, you know, an extra 2 to 3k damage a second, depending on kind of where it ticks, and obviously if it crits and stuff, can go even higher. So you end up having about 12 to 15k burst instantly, and that's all within 1 second. And then from that, you then obviously have another second of all the dots ticking and the drain still going, at which point most people die. So it's just really nasty. And then obviously to make it kind of better, you obviously got an ultimate. So if they don't die, chucking an ultimate there, that will finish them off. So that's kind of your execute. You can also use that to help burst people down as well. So you could go ... Deep Fissure, Onslaught, Vampire Drain. The Onslaught will land just before the Deep Fissure, which gives the Deep Fissure 100% penetration. and that will basically do up to 10,000 damage to the target. It's horrible. The Vampire Drain, because it's direct damage, will also get buffed by the Onslaught penetration as well. So it means your Vampire Drain will tick for 4 to 5,000 damage a second. It's really, really strong. So I said this is a very strong bursty setup. It's kind of you dot people up and then you push your burst skill and you turn around and you just nuke the rest of the health bar. So they go from like sort of 80% health down to 0. It's really, really fast burst. So it's kind of a delayed to begin with and then it's bang, they're dead. So that's why I really like playing this. Back bar wise, obviously Ice Fortress, our defense. Our survival kind of skills and buffs are kind of Dampen Magic for a big shield. That's 7,500 fully buffed. Blue Betty, which is obviously our sustain and our purge. And Living Trellis, which is our heal over time and our burst heal. And obviously when you use this is really nice because you can chuck it on yourself, put on your shield, and then as the shield takes damage, you heal from the Living Trellis. And when Living Trellis runs out, you get a burst heal. Now, lots of people don't know this, but if you recast Living Trellis whilst it's on you, you can force that burst heal every single time. So that way you can kind of just re-spam cast this, and it's really, really strong. And the passives that this procs as well is just ridiculous. You get a major mending when you're below 40% health, and you get 250 stamina on Magicka back every second from one of the passives each time you heal yourself with this. So it's just a really, really good hit skill. And we run Healing Thicket as our kind of our big emergency heal, like an oh no, we're going to die. That's our emergency oh no button. Because we've got bloodspawn on, as you can see, our ult gen is really, really, really high. We can afford to sort of chuck this out quite often when we need to, and still be able to run onslaught and save up as we need. So yeah, that's kind of the skills. Obviously, a few things you can change. For the upcoming patch Dragonhold, I've taken off Soul Trap and been playing around with Arctic Blast. So that's basically a little burst heal, and it does some damage over time, which is really, really nice. The damage it does is very similar to Soul Trap in all honesty, but it's got a stun as well, so the stun is what kind of you want. It's an AoE stun very similar to Permafrost, so it's that kind of Permafrost stun in this skill here. And again, that's for Dragonhold, so you may want to level that up for Dragonhold so you are kind of ahead of the game, okay? As for the other skills for Dragonhold, they kind of do stay the same in all honesty. I've been dueling with it on in Dragonhold, and it's a really, really good kind of setup. The damage is a little bit lower, but the burst, when you obviously land it with Onslaught, you just go from, doing a little bit of damage to just bang, they die really, really fast, because obviously the Onslaught bypasses all the penetration. Your Shulks and bypass all the penetration. Vampire Drain bypasses all armor. And then all the dots still tick really hard anyway, so it's just a very, very strong build in all honesty. Now looking at the gear, and the gear is obviously this is my optimal setup, okay? I've tested loads, I'm just kind of just listed the other sets that you can use, but for me, Necropotence, bloodspawn, Alfique. Really, really simple. You want recovery, and spell damage on the jewelry. So 2 recovery, 1 spell damage, and all arcane. We're pushing the max Magicka because the Warden scales really well with max Magicka. It's all Magicka on the armor, except for the big pieces, so it's tricep on the head, chest, and legs. Everything else is just max Magicka. As for the sword, we obviously use a Nirnhone sword with a weapon damage enchantment. Now you could change this to a shock damage enchantment, and you want to do it for Dragonhold, so change this to a shock, and on the back bar run a berserk enchantment on the back bar. So you can light attack on the back bar to get your weapon damage buff, and then you get a bit more burst on your sort of combination. So again, that's really nice. Obviously you don't have to do it in sort of greatsword, it has to be Necropotence, it can be mixed and matched. So obviously as long as you have both 5 pieces active, this works really, really well. Now for other sets that you could run and go, oh I don't have those sets down, what do I do? Obviously bloodspawn in all honesty is kind of the best set you can get in sort of PvP now, but you could go with 1 mighty chaudan and 1 lord warden, or 1 mighty chaudan and 1 pirate skeleton. So kind of any combination of those, they just give you flat armor, they're really good. You could also go shadow rend as well, which is obviously very, very good for duels because it gives a minor main, which reduces the target's damage by 15%, gives you magical recovery, and it also does damage to them. But it's not good in group play. So kind of when you're doing battlegrounds, you're outnumbered, it won't really help you because it can't put the debuff on everybody, so you just take way too much damage. So bloodspawn's kind of the best all-round set because of the ult gen, the resistance, and the stand recovery. But I said those are kind of the sets that you can go. So in case you've forgotten, it's bloodspawn, 1 piece pirate skeleton, 1 piece mighty chaudan, and 1 piece lord warden, kind of any of those 3 kind of mixed and matched. So you basically have 2 1 pieces that are just armor, or you can go shadow rend again. As for kind of our damage set, so when I say damage sets, I'm talking about the one that gives us our main bulk of the damage, and that's Necropotence. If you don't have that because it's quite expensive, or you go, oh, I don't have that, but I've got something like Bright Throat, you can run Bright Throat. So I've been playing around with Bright Throat on the live server. If you use Bright Throw, I run the spring-loaded infusion. It's a purple drink. It's a tri-stat drink. It's not as strong as tri-stat food, but that will obviously allow you to have a bit more sustain than you currently have. Obviously, I have more than enough sustain, almost 1700. So that's ample, and just put in an extra recovery if you find it not enough on this setup. But this will, Bright Throw can obviously help alleviate that. You do lose a bit of damage though. You could run Swift. Swift will make you a bit tankier, so you could go drop Necro and run Swift. I would honestly keep Necro and drop Alfique. So keep your Necro and drop Alfique for Swift. So run bloodspawn, Swift, and Alfique. Necro, sorry. So bloodspawn, Swift, and Necro, and that would obviously give you a bit more tankiness. Really good setup, really strong. You could run spinners instead of now for other sets you could run for the kind of the damage sort of sets and kind of just sustain and stuff. I obviously run Necro as my main damage set, and Necro, in all honesty, is the best damage set for a Magicka Warden, so you always want that on. If you don't have that, try and get it, because honestly it's such a good set. Even if you get it in blue, the damage increase is that noticeable that at blue it makes a huge difference. So try and get it blue, even the jewelry blue, there's very little in the blue to the purple in all honesty, so don't panic. So get the Necro if you can. If you don't have Necro, then you could run something like Bright Throat, that's a good another damage set. You could run Spinners instead, that's obviously a good another damage set, so Magicka, Spell Damage and Pen. So for me, if you don't have Necro, try and get Bright Throat. That's more expensive than Necro though, so yeah. Spinners is a lot cheaper to get hold of. Now for our sort of second set, our last set, you can run as Vampire Lord as well. Downside with this just buffs the Vampire Drain, but the Vampire Drain does go higher than 7,300. It goes about 8k nearly, so that's a really kind of nasty set to run for the Vampire Drain. But that's about it. So damage sets, Spinners, Vampire Lord, Bright Throat. For our second set, and obviously we'll run Alfique, so if you want to drop Alfique and go actually, I know what I'm going to run for my main damage set, Necro personally, then you could run something like Swift. So drop Alfique for Swift, this gives you a bit more tankiness. And you'll notice these say Armour and Armour, so this is in Dragonhold. So this obviously is just exactly the same as it is in the live currently, and it's just a really good set to run. It obviously reduces the damage taken from players by 10% as well, so it's just nuts. So yeah, highly recommend running Swift if you find survival a bit harder on this setup. Again, you'll run obviously Necro, Swift, and then Bloodspawn, and you'll be really, really tanky with good damage. Now, if you don't have that, obviously I haven't crafted it, because obviously it's a bit of hassle to craft on the PTS. Obviously I'm not in a guild craft house on the PTS server, but you could obviously run a Shacklebreaker. So if you don't have obviously any of these sets, just run Shacklebreaker and Necropotence. That's a really strong setup. And if you don't have Necropotence and you're just brand new, you haven't got anything, you could go Shacklebreaker and Seducer. Obviously Google those sets yourselves, but Shacklebreaker Seducer will really get you going. And then you can obviously then change the Shacklebreaker to Necropotence for a bit more damage, or change the Seducer for Necropotence for a bit more damage, and try and get Bloodspawn if you can, or just really any two monster set if you're just starting out. So that's the gear, as I said, and you've probably seen in some of the videos that I put up recently, the gear doesn't matter too much. This is the optimal setup, so optimal what I run currently, but the other setups are just as good. Now for the consumables, tri-stat potions and tri-stat food. Really simple. For our Munderstone, again really simple. Atronach, Magical Recovery. This is made for BGs. If you want to have a bit more damage, you could obviously run the spell damage Mundus here, and then go to your jewelry and run triple regen, and then that will obviously give you a bit more spell damage, but you'd have slightly less regen. So there's a trade-off. So that's kind of up to you. Now for the CP, this is a dueling setup, so if you want to go take this into duel, this is what you use for dueling, okay? The blue stays exactly the same, and the red stays exactly the same if you're in a duel or if you're not in a duel. The only thing that changes if you're not in a duel, so if you're in no CP, take Siphoner, put this down to 1, go across to Sprinter, put this up to 19 for 12%, I think it is, and then you can buff over here and you put these to 37, and then you're done. Okay, so you get 15, 15, 9, 12, 7. So you see no points are wasted. This 1 point here it is wasted, but it just adds just a debuff for Templars and people to purge, especially with the Betty Netch giving and auto purge next patch, this is obviously really worth getting at least 1 point in. So again, this is if you want to go into open world Cyrodiil, you can run this CP, and here you go, you can see it, pause it. I'm just going to do it slowly now, so you can see this is the open world Cyrodiil CP. Now that's kind of the build and kind of what I run. Now for combos and just for tips to stay alive, yeah? So obviously when you're being beaten up, if you take damage and you fall down here, you want to use your vines as soon as you can. So I'm just going to jump up and just roll off here, okay? So when you're low health, if you damage yourself, you get low health. Go vine, roll dodge, vine, shield, vine, and that will generally keep you alive. What will happen is the first vine will proc your major mending passive. The second vine will then obviously have 30% more healing on it, which gives you a massive burst heal, and then the third vine gives you a nice heal over time when people keep hitting you whilst you put the shield on. So it's a good oh no sort of combo. Always make sure you got your armor buff on, and then if you are kind of being overwhelmed with dots, so you've got like a dot build trying to kill you, put your vines on and just spam the Blue Betty. And I do this a lot, so this basically just gets rid of all the dots and it drains their resource. Because as the dot ticks for, say, like 1000 to 2000 damage, your vines will heal you for that amount, meaning you're only getting damaged by light attacks generally. So as long as they're not using poisons, you can pretty much purge every effect that gets put on you straight away for free. So it means that they just run out of resources really fast, and you can dot them up whilst they're doing that. So they eat your dot damage whilst you purge their dot damage, and it means they can't kill you easily. So that's kind of how you do that. As for damage and combos, I normally go dot them up, so start with the bat bar. I'm going to use this as my dot for the moment. And I'd use obviously Fletcher, Entropy, I'd then push to my Deep Fissure, I'd then go into my Vampire Drain, I'd then block cancel it and then push Shorts again and Vampire Drain again. So that way I can follow them round, and again you'll see a lot of the footage as well. And if I have Dawnbreaker ready, I chuck Dawnbreaker down kind of when Shorts goes off. So as that goes off, I'd then Dawnbreaker, and that will land both at once doing loads of burst. And if you have Onslaught, like I did in the PTS, then obviously, as you push that, go Onslaught, Vampire Drain. And then you'll find that most people will die straight away because Shulk will hit them for like 9k. So yeah, there's just a few kind of skill combos there. If you obviously have any questions, just put it obviously in the comments, and obviously I'll answer as quick as I can. And yeah, obviously I hope you enjoy this. Obviously said this is such a different playstyle, so different, so out there, but it's incredibly fun. So yeah, I'm going to call it there. This is obviously a slightly different sort of video structure, full of bit faster. I'm hoping. I hope you guys like the different set options. So obviously if you do, let me know in the comments, and obviously I'll keep doing that. And kind of with that said, I'm going to wrap the video up here. So obviously if you liked it, obviously like and comment. If you are new, obviously, and you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so. If you do really love this video, then obviously consider donating to our Patreon. I've put the link in the description. And with that said, I'm going to sign off now, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. So take care. Thanks for watching, and bye.